Today is Gaaaaadmin day. That is a day of admin that makes you want to go, Gaaah! And that's one of the days that I'm having. I'm just about to go to the post office and post one of my orders that I got on my website. I just spent 4 hours in my local cafe trying to catch up on everything to do with my finances, tax returns, letting my social media manager know what kind of help I need this week, as well as all of the home repairs that come with owning a house. This week I picked up a new key for my front door. It's always good to have a spare, but it doesn't work. It just spins in the lock, so I've taken it back to the locksmith twice to try and get it resolved. Not to mention the fact that a couple of nights ago my house alarm went off in the middle of the night for literally no reason. It doesn't even have a little record on the panel of it going off because it normally does that. It normally tells you that it's gone off and why. But it didn't even tell me. I also stuck something up on my wall yesterday that I hadn't secured particularly well, and so that fell on the floor in the middle of the night, just at the time that I was drifting off to sleep. Absolutely crap myself. I don't want any more Gaaaaadmin. I'm also very enthusiastic to do the varnishing of these shelves, because if I don't varnish them and I start to use them, they're eventually going to become scuffed and scratched, and I will miss the opportunity to varnish and protect them without having to repaint them again. I also have that shelf that I found in the street sitting in my living room, and I would really like that to be up there. So those are my two priorities. I'm still editing my short form videos for the room renovation project that I did. Just generally lots of really good, exciting stuff is happening at the moment, which is wonderful, but it's very much scream if you want to go faster. I'm screaming. Okay, let's pack this order. I'm going to pack this order, and en route I'm going to go back to the locksmith, try and get the key sorted out. And I've been so ill the last week that I've hardly trained for my half marathon in July. So I must go for a run tonight. Where is a pen? This one will do. What's your name then? Oh, what a lovely name. Can't tell you. It's a secret. Does anyone know where I put the key? Anyone? Okay, found it. Let's take a little trip to the shops. I'm also supposed to be going on a hot date this week, but I haven't responded to them to even let them know when I'm free. I also must remember to pop round and water my friend's plants. This is just becoming a to-do list. I might just watch this back and check things off as I go. The locksmith's is closed, so I'll have to come back a different day. I must remember to cancel my gym membership. This was a little video I made earlier in my 4-hour Gaaaaadmin phase. Got myself a little iced coffee and thanked one of my Buy Me a Coffee supporters, and it was heaven. Iced coffee just hits different. That's mile 1. Today I have to do 8 miles. This is mile 2. I've not even reached the nice part of the path yet. I have to run quite far to get to a good bit. Literally running around down the side of a dual carriageway. So beautiful. 2.5 miles in and I just get to the beautiful part of the path. I'll be following the River Avon for the next few miles. This is more like it. Mile 3. Mile 4. This is halfway. It's really beautiful. I'm not dying yet. Mile 5. Caught me on a little roady bit, but it ends in a minute. Back to the path. Still doing good. It's over a month until my half marathon. I can do this. We're on mile 6. Why is there 2 more? Mile 7. I'm bored now because I'm back on the road. Eight miles. Oh gosh, my poor little legs. I just finished my 8-mile run in my half marathon training. That's taken me about 2 hours of my time today, so not doing much DIY. And of course, I spent about 4 hours doing my admin this morning, so that is a full day in the life of a creator. But it's 8:45, I'm going to have some dinner, and I'm going to go upstairs, and I will finish off the varnishing of the nook in the corner, the cupboards, the shelves. I've used up all my words today. They're all gone. Because I want to do just one tiny bit of DIY for you today. Let's go! Ooh! Ow! Ow! That hurts quite a lot. Oh, okay. Used by the 26th. That was 4 days ago. I wonder if it really means it. I'm just not too hungry. Having noodles again, I see. I like noodles. Not really a balanced diet though, is it? Well, you're wrong, because sometimes I have the chicken flavour instead. That's not what they mean by balance. I need you to know that I've just made the corner of that bed, just the corner of that bed, so that my bed looks made on camera. This will actually be a really quick job. It's a really easy DIY, so I'm super excited about it. I do need a paintbrush. I'm going to do this with a roller, but I'll need a paintbrush to get into the corners. I don't want it going onto the colour, because you will be able to see it when it dries. It will be shiny, like a little sheen. We don't want that. Just going to put this on my freshly made bed. Oh! It will need to be mixed. Just giving it a little pre-mix. It's supposed to be stirred, not shaken, I think, but I don't know what to tell you. That's what's happening. Paintbrush. When it comes to tools, I always say, get whatever you can. Borrow from friends. Pick up the cheapest one in the shop that you can, if it's going to help you to start. But if you are able, and you are able to pick up something slightly more expensive, brushes are one of those things that, in my opinion, it's worth spending a little bit extra money on. And I say this because I used to always buy the cheapest of the cheapest brushes. They'd have really thick, not very soft bristles, which made them harder to use. The bristles also come out a little more often. And I like going for an angled brush, because I think you get more of an ability to get into the corners, more so than a flat brush. And this one is, I think, 1.5 inches, which would be good for this small project. But if I was doing cutting into the walls or at the skirting boards, the one that I like the most is a 2.5 inch brush. Is that right? 2 inch to 2.5 inches. I think I've got both and I've used both. But for a smaller area, this would be perfect. But yeah, definitely recommend picking up a better quality brush if you can. You're also more motivated when they're nicer to look after them. That's my thoughts on brushes. Let's open this. I do have a pot opener somewhere. I don't know where it is, so we're going to use the trusty screwdriver. Again, I'm just going to mix it. Just going to mix it with my roller, because I'm lazy. And you know, you've got to find the fastest way to do something. You don't need to overthink this sometimes. Despite having just slapped the brush on there, the roller on there, I'm actually going to go into the corners first, because then when I do the roller at the end, it will iron out all of the brush marks. Doesn't really iron it, but you know, to a Tanner phrase, an idiom. It'll iron out the brush marks. Let me get this camera a little bit closer, because I want you to be able to see what I'm doing. I've actually got slightly too much on this roller at the moment, but you don't need a very thick layer at all. And even though there's loads of weird looking bubbles and lines, they disappear once it dries out. I'm gonna thin this out a little bit by just rolling in some other areas that haven't been done yet to get a bit more off the roller. I just go as close as I can to the edges without touching the wall. Don't need to overwork it, except if you find a hair. And I do usually come back and put 2 or 3 coats on. Just make sure that you don't have any roller edge marks left. For example, I did that quite harshly. See, you don't want that. So just be gentle with it, roll it on. So there we go, it's done, and I've definitely covered every square inch. But when it dries, I'll discover that I haven't, so I'll have to do 2 coats. Sometimes I do 3, but definitely 2 coats is the way to go. Let me show you the mistakes that I made. Because you know that I wouldn't deprive you of that. I had a little bit of a whoopsie up here, where it went onto the wall. I could try and wipe that off with a sponge, but I expect it would still show, so I'm just gonna, once that's dried, go and just paint over that teeny tiny bit just there. The other bit that I had that was a bit of a DIY mistake is this brush, I hadn't realised, still had a tiny bit of green on it when I've painted something before. Funnily enough, not this green. It might have been that colour there. I just exposed myself by showing you the blinding lights, so now you know it's night time. So those paint specks were still in here, so when I was painting this I did notice some very small bits of green. You probably can't even pick it up on the camera, to be honest, but there's teeny tiny little bits of green in the paint in some areas. So these things happen, but there we go. Today's DIY, that took me 18 minutes, that's what my phone is telling me. So even if you do just one tiny little bit of DIY every day, you can make progress. I'm going to leave all the stuff off, do this again in the morning when it's dry, and then again probably later in the day. I'll probably leave it about 24 hours before putting stuff back on it, just because I know that I want to be sure. I want to be sure that it's dry, so that it's not going to end up being taken off by anything that rests on top of it, which is probably wise for something that you're using as a surface to place things on. I don't want to wash these out, so I'm just going to wrap these in a plastic bag. Might even pop them in the fridge, which just stops the drying process significantly, so you can reuse them again a number of hours later or even the next day. And if you enjoyed this episode about all things DIY, content creator, business owner, half marathon trainer, then don't forget to like and subscribe.